Thank you so much for joining us today here at the Business Boot Camp, brought to you by Market Immersion. These amazing experts are some of the top professionals in their field and will be sharing their expert advice with you. Please invite your friends and share the link to register on your social sites. We want everyone to benefit from this fabulous free information. Keep an eye on your schedule with the list of presenters and the topics. Please register for each presentation. The dates and times will adjust and be specific for your time zone. Now it's time to introduce you to one of our super cool experts. Tina Sibley was a corporate coach and a trainer for over 20 years. She specializes in public speaking and teaching presentation skills. Tina loves to help business owners talk about their business. After the recession in the UK, training opportunities were not enough to sustain a business. Tina's options were to move to London or move online. Tina's addiction to the fresh air and the beautiful sea helped sway her decision to move online, and 3 years later, she's still there and has been running her own business ever since. She lives in Plymouth, southwest of England, yet considering another move to where the sun is brighter in Gibraltar, a British territory off the south coast of Spain. That's the beauty of an online business. You can live anywhere in the world your heart desires. Tina's strength is in teaching online presentation skills and has embraced the world of webinars. Through extensive mentoring, research, and testing, Tina has created a webinar blueprint that consistently converts between 30 and 55% from attendees to sales. So with no further ado, I would love to introduce you to Tina Sibley. Welcome, Tina Sibley.
Wow, thank you, Leslie. Applause as well. I love it.
Oh, that's great. Well, I just want to let you all know, Tina and I have several things in common, and one of which is the ocean. So I've been meaning to ask you, Tina, how close are you to the water?
Literally about 1 minute walk. It is fabulous. I just go to the top of my street and I'm on the seafront, and it couldn't be better. It's glorious. Absolutely glorious.
That is so cool. All right. Well, I'm just so thrilled to have you here, and I'm just going to go ahead and turn the floor over to you, Tina. So have at it.
Okay, fantastic. Well, I'm just going to share my screen and show my slides. So if you can, first of all, let me know if you can see them okay. There you go. That's better.
Perfect.
I don't know why I didn't do that first time.
That's all right. Perfect.
Alrighty. So without any further ado, then, the ultimate guide to profitable webinars, and that is the key word here, is profitable webinars, because when I first started out, I struggled making my webinars profitable. So what I'm going to be sharing with you this evening is, today on this webinar, is how to really make your webinars super profitable. Now, the thing is, we are bombarded these days with anything between 3,000 and 20,000 marketing messages every single day. And that's a scary, scary thought. And when we're working online, I'm really guessing that you want to be seen and heard above all of that marketing noise. And this is where webinars come in, because not only do they work, but they are the single most effective way of selling anything online. Now, what I'm going to share is exactly how I went from no sales at all, with hardly any following, to just getting $16,000 from just one webinar. And the reason I wanted to share my first webinar success was because very often when we follow webinars from some of the big guns out there, and they're talking about, hey, you can make over $100,000 in 2 weeks, that kind of thing, it doesn't feel real. So this is all about when you're just starting out, you can literally go from nothing to $16,000 just by changing a few things, which is what I did. And I'm also going to give you a free webinar checklist so that you nail a profitable webinar absolutely every time. And then Leslie and I are going to tell you how you can get your hands on some more great information. So, but first of all, I want you to think about, what are your reasons for showing up on this webinar presentation? Now, obviously, Leslie's put together some fabulous speakers, and the overall drive and desire is to grow your business, get more clients, make more income. But what is it that's made you think, yes, I need to be here on this particular one? And what I want you to do is write it down, because you've given your time up, so it's obviously important. And I want to connect with those reasons rather than just sit and listen to, hey, another online presentation. I want to really connect with you and your business and the reasons for you being here. So when it comes to webinars, I'd also like you to write down a couple of numbers on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being low, 1 being low even, and 10 being high. I want you to rate yourself on the results that you've been getting from your webinars up until now. And if you've never run a webinar before, just write 0. And then write down, again, on a scale of 1 to 10, what's your confidence level when it comes to running profitable webinars right now? Okay, so once you've got those numbers, if any of those numbers are below 7, then you are definitely in the right place, because that's what I'm going to be helping you with. And again, come back to that question, why did you show up to this presentation? Most of us are in business for 2 reasons. We want to make a difference to other people, and we also want to make a difference to ourselves and increase our own income. So what is it that you would like to do? Is it one of those, both of those? And again, webinars are really a good way of doing this, because what they give you the ability to do is they're a vehicle to help other people from wallowing around in the treacle to becoming a superstar. And if you have the ability to run not just any old webinar, but profitable webinars, not only are you going to be able to attract more clients, which means that you're helping more people, you're helping other people to progress and move forwards, but you're also helping yourself in that same process, which for me is a double whammy, and it's really cool. But let's look at how I believe, because I'm, as you probably gathered by now, I am a massive fan of webinars, but it's not the only way of, making an income online. So I'm going to give you some really good reasons why you should be looking at webinars, alongside of, at least, or even instead of, other kinds of making, money online. First of all, let's look at webinars versus live events, because webinar has kind of replaced the traditional seminar. It's an online, seminar basically. Well, first of all, when you look at live events, they can be a nightmare. I'm sure that Leslie will back me up on this one. Running live events can be a nightmare, because you've got all the hassles, of putting it on, and the cost and all that kind of stuff. Webinars are quick, easy, and cheap to test. So if you've got a new idea about, you want to try something in a new niche market, or you want to try a new product or an idea, they're quick, easy, and cheap to test. You can run a webinar literally within a few days, and you can start getting some feedback on whether or not people are actually going to go for your idea or not. So not only can you test quickly, but you can act quickly. So when something comes out onto the market, very often it can be some new legislation, or it can be a new product, and you want to be able to move quickly. Now, I did this not too long ago with a new product that came out called Webinar Jam. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of that one. It's a webinar platform, and I was able to respond quickly when that came out and put together some training, some free training, because everybody was talking about Webinar Jam. So I was able to put a webinar quickly together. I bought their platform, I used their platform to run a jamming session, and because of that, I was able to attract a whole new bunch of people towards me, which was fabulous. Again, live seminars, you've got like those hassles of, it's a minimum number of people to hire the room at a certain price, and they've got clauses of cancellation, and unless you cancel within a given time period, you don't get your money back, and that can sometimes mess with your marketing process. It's also a lot less hassle for people to attend a webinar event than it is a live event, because live events, you've got traveling, accommodation, childcare issues, you've got to sort out parking, where you're going to stick your car, and how long is it going to take you to get there, do you have to go up the day before, and all of that kind of stuff. And the great thing again about webinars is there are none of those geographical constraints. You can literally reach the whole world. It was so exciting to me. I can't tell you how excited I was when I first got hold of a piece of one of the webinar platforms that I had. When it lists the attendees, it puts a little country flag next to the person, so you can see where they're attending from. And I'm here based in the UK, and it was so awesome for me to see flags from the US and from Canada and from Germany and various other countries across Europe, and even from Australia and India as well, all on that same event. And it was just like, that's when you really begin to understand how global webinars and the internet can be. It's just amazing. Again, a big deal with live events is you have to have crew to look after the delegates while you're doing the important stuff about, you know, making sure your presentation and everything goes well. And the other great thing is, I don't know why, but webinars convert and make sales just as well, if not better, than live events do. It's just brilliant. I love it for that reason. So I do love live events. I love getting, you know, meeting the people, but I can do so much more with webinars. So that's webinars against seminars. But what about other online methods? Well, one of the most popular ways of making money online is to drive traffic to a sales page. You know, you see loads of adverts out there all the time, driving traffic, and basically what you've got is a situation where, how am I going to get the traffic? And one of the, you know, most popular ways are banner adverts and all of that kind of thing. Now, here's another really frightening, startling statistic for you. When it comes to banner adverts, statistically, a person is more likely to survive a plane crash than they are to click on your banner advert. Now, I was looking for some statistics about, you know, the use of banner ads and that kind of thing, and I almost couldn't believe my eyes when I saw this. And that's the stats. People just, unless they're really well targeted, and sure, you can get some banner ads which are targeted well, and, you know, that would change these kind of statistics. But if they're just, you know, chucked out there without any really good targeting, then people are just not going to click on it, you know, so you're wasting your money and the effort, and that can get very demoralizing. Okay, and this is the next thing. Assuming you do get people to click on your banner advert and go to your sales page, the standard conversion rates are paltry. It's like 0.5% to 2%. You know, that's a lot of people who are going away again. They're coming to your sales page, but they're going away again, and a lot of the time it's cost you money to get that 98 to 99.5 people there. It's cost you money, and they're leaving. So to me, that's not a particularly good method. Okay, method 2 is you have a squeeze page where you give something, you know, free to collect somebody's name and email address. Now this is better because at least now you're capturing details, and then what you can do is put a nice email campaign together and then send them to a sales page. This has been pretty effective, and it can be effective certainly for lower level price points. However, again, these days, because we all get so many emails, it's perhaps not as effective as it used to be. And one of the ways of increasing this effectiveness is at the end of this email campaign, instead of sending them direct to a sales page, if you slot a webinar in here, then very often that is going to just turn things around for you. So to me, it just makes so much more sense to just pop a little webinar in there, and you're going to increase your conversions. Okay, another method then of selling online, your big hypey product launches. Now, there is no doubt these work. I'm sure you've all seen them. You get a series of videos that come out, and then the last video is a bit of a sales video. Well, not a bit of a sales video, it's a full-on sales video with the whole add to cart, and there is usually a closing date. Now, these work brilliantly. I have to say, it is a good method. But again, if you put a webinar in here, and a lot of people do this now, is at the end of that third video or whatever, they'll put a webinar, and it just makes the launch more effective. The downside of launches is that you know, once the date's over, that's it. I mean, this is a great selling point as well. And so if you've got a lot of visitors, if you've got a lot of joint venture partners, if you've got a lot of people on the list, having an end date is a brilliant and effective way of selling. But for people who are starting out, once that end date's gone, you know, that's it until the next launch. So, you know, the great thing about webinars is that you can run them on and you can keep it a sales campaign going, which will help you build your list. So there are different methods for different circumstances, and it does depend where you are with your business, you know, model and your strategy. For me, webinar presentations just do it every time, and it doesn't matter whether you're starting out and you've got a small list and hardly any, you know, joint venture partners to speak of, or if you're, you know, a big gun and you're already doing really well, you know, you will have noticed that the, you know, people who are making lots of money online, they're doing it through webinar presentations. But why do you think webinar presentations are so good? Well, I've been doing my research, as Leslie said. I've you know, really looked into this to study what is it about webinars that's different to a lot of the other methods. And that's because they use a lot of the button pushers, as I call them, that are mentioned in this amazing book called The Influence and the Psychology of Persuasion by Robert Cialdini. Now, all of these methods are used by modern salespeople, but webinars are probably the only thing that allows you to use them all. So what are the 6 button pushers, you know, that come into this influence? Well, we've got 6 principles. The first one is reciprocity. Now, obviously, in a squeeze campaign, this uses reciprocity because you're giving somebody something for free in return for a name and an email address. But then when you go beyond that and give them a really great webinar with lots of information, people kind of feel obliged to give you a little bit more than their name and their email address. And this is why, particularly if you've got a sale which is your first time that you've had contact with the customer, potential customer, and you start using something at a low ticket like $47, $97, that kind of stuff, you know, that kind of price point, even maybe up to $197, $247, something like that. People think, well, for that information, and you know, I'm willing to buy this product at that price. There's this feeling of goodwill about it when you've given really great content. Now, the second principle is scarcity, and this principle has been used for years. You know, you've only got to look at any bank holiday sale, and you know, well, we've got sales throughout the year, haven't we? You just go down the high street, go into any of the shopping malls, and it's, you know, sale ends tomorrow. You know, there's going to be another sale in a few weeks' time, but it works. That sale ends thing, you know, works. And this is why this is a technique that has been used on the video launches, you know, the big product launches, and on webinars too, because it works. And it's a really easy way of doing it. You can't kind of do that as well just on a sales page. Now, this is where you don't get this so much on just a sales page or a squeeze page with a sales campaign. And that is authority. People like to buy from people that they see as being, you know, authoritative in their field, experts. Okay, so you've got to really build that credible authority status. And webinars are a brilliant way of doing it, because the webinar gives you the opportunity to give a presentation which shows your expertise. It's also the very fact that you're giving a presentation, the very fact that you're doing a webinar in the first place, rises you up to that level of expert and gives you that authority. This is something you don't get as much in the other ways of speaking online. It's the same if you're invited to speak on stage. People already assume that you're an expert just because you've been invited. And it's also a bit like that, you know, by taking part in a big events like this, because it just automatically gives you that authority before you've even spoken a word. And to me, that's cool. That's a really good, you know, good reason to use webinars. The next thing is that you can use this principle called consistency. Now, what is consistency? Well, consistency means that we have to act in a way that's true to our beliefs and values. So one of the examples that Robert Cialdini gives in his book is that they did a survey in a gym, and what they did on this health club. And the survey was about people's beliefs around water usage, and did they think that we should do everything to you know, look after the water and not just use water just willy-nilly. And they found that when people completed this and then they went in to actually use the facilities, they stayed in the shower an awful lot less longer than they would have ordinarily. And it's, you know, that is just, there's nobody kind of like watching them, but they noticed that the water usage in the showers dropped. Now, nobody's filming them, nobody's timing them, nobody's saying, oh, you know, how much water are you using then? But because they filled in that survey, they felt they had to act consistently with what they said. Does that make sense? So on a webinar, if you put the presentation together in a way where at the end, when you say, well, sure, you want this and you want this and you don't want that and you don't want that, well, in order not to have that and to have this, it would make really good sense if you joined this program or did this or followed this course of action. Or, you know, let's say, for example, you're working for a charity and you say all the way through and you get people's engagement and agreement that these conditions are dreadful. People are not going to then not put their hands in their pockets and donate to that charity. This is why a lot of these big TV programs, you know, where it's all, you know, like comic relief or Live Aid or, you know, all of that kind of stuff, it's because people have to act consistency with what they believe to be true, so they will therefore follow and take action. I hope that makes sense. It's a bit of an awkward one to describe, but it's just the way we are as human beings. Now, this next one, social proof, everybody knows this. If everybody else is buying it, we want it too. Nice and simple. This happened big time with the launch of Webinar Jam recently. Everybody was talking about it. Everybody, oh, what's that then? You know, what's everybody talking about? You know, I've got to have a look at this. And this is, again, where one of the functions that I love about a lot of webinars is where you can build in chat and you can build up a social community, and then, you know, get everybody hanging out on a Facebook group afterwards, or, you know, Facebook page, get them asking questions, because people like to belong. And if there's a community in a gang and people within that community are buying a certain product, then chances are you've got much more likelihood of your customers buying as well. And quite simply, the last one is it's so much easier for people to make up their minds whether they like you or not from your webinar than it is from a sales page. We buy from people we like, you know, it's this whole know, like and trust factor. And from a webinar, the way that you speak, the way that you put the slides together, the way that you present, people are going to make a judgment. It's either going to be a style that doesn't resonate with them, and they're going to make a decision, no, that person's not for me. And if that's the case, that's fine, you know, because you don't want to work with people who are not fun to work with. You want to attract people who are going to be, you know, like-minded, and, you know, you're going to have fun connecting with and working with. And then there's going to be a whole load of people who decide, oh my gosh, I love this person, I love their style, I love the way they do things, and it's so much easier to get that liking across with a webinar than it is in any other way. So those are the 6 principles. And what that means, do you remember we were talking about average conversion rates of just driving traffic to a sales page being between 0.5% and 2%? Average conversion rates of webinars for a high ticket item, so $497, right up to $2,000 and more, can be 5 to 15%. And at low ticket items, you can get huge conversion rates of between 20 and 55%. And again, that's not just for the people who've been going for years and have got big lists and huge joint venture partners. I've got 55% myself, when I was first starting out. So this, that's the beauty of the webinar presentation, which, if I haven't convinced you by now you need to be doing webinars, quite frankly, I'm not sure what will. So if you make the decision to either learn how to do webinars, or if you're doing them already and you just want to get better, how do you learn to do that? Well, there's a few different ways you can do it. But like I did when I first started out, trial and error, the old school of hard knocks, doing it the wrong way, and you soon learn what not to do. Or you can follow somebody else, and I did this too. I have no idea what I'm doing, and this is the thing, sometimes you don't know who's got it right online and who hasn't. So you really need to choose your mentors and your teachers carefully. Or you can just buy a whole stack of books. But the big problem with that is there's nobody to answer your questions and, to see things from so that you can implement stuff which is applicable to your business. So why am I the right person to teach you all about webinars then? Well, as Leslie said earlier on, she gave me a great introduction, and I've kind of been around the track, as it were. I've got all the qualifications, and I've, done all the learning, and yet, first of all, I bombed in terms of learning, especially online when it was all completely new to me. But then I got the right mentoring, I got the right training, I learned how to do it properly, and then I went very quickly from 0 to my first 5-figure month, and that gave me also a regular monthly afterwards. As Leslie said, this is where I live, in Plymouth, which is really beautiful. This is like a minute's walk from my house. My big hobby is salsa dancing, which I love to do on the beachfront, and my dream is to go where there's more sunshine, which is Gibraltar. So what's your dream, and what can webinars help you to achieve? And I want you to think about that and write that down right now. What would webinars be able to give you? What dream do you want to achieve that by running webinars it could really help you to achieve it? Because that is what's exciting. Okay, so what I'm going to do is tell you about my profitable webinar blueprint, which is proven theories that work and broken down into easy to follow steps. There's a lot of people out there who have had some success because they're good at internet marketing or whatever, but they're not actually, quite frankly, that great at teaching it. So I've got a background in training, so I'm able to break it down into nice and easy follow steps, especially when it comes to the technology. So when is a good time to learn about webinars? Well, that kind of depends on how long you want to carry on wallowing around in the treacle to when you want to become a superstar. So if you want to go swiftly to becoming a superstar, then you need to get going. So are you ready? Are you ready to get off the starting blocks and power your way through to starting to get the income that is going to furnish that lifestyle and to be able to help other people and more other people too? So what you need then is my profitable webinar blueprint, which is all based around the 5 Ps. Okay, every single one of these is important. You have to make sure you've got your planning right. You have to make sure you've got your presentation right. You have to make sure you've got your promotion right. You have to get the right platform, and that will all then come together and give you profit. But there are certain things you need to do as well. So I'm going to go through some of these. Obviously, I don't have time right now to go through the whole thing in detail. All of this is covered in the program, but I'm going to give you some stuff here and now that you can take away and implement. Okay, so planning. Now, this is essential but often overlooked. If you don't plan your webinar properly, you could end up putting a lot of work in, a lot of time and a lot of effort, and getting zero reward or very little reward. So the kind of questions you need to be asking yourself is, how do running webinars fit with my overall marketing strategy? And in fact, how does that fit with my overall business strategy? How often should I run webinars? When should I do them? How is that going to fit in with the other activities that I've got going on in my business, so that you don't end up with these bottlenecks and end up getting really stressed? Things like, if I'm going to be running a webinar on a particular date, you've got to think about everything that you've got to do running up to that. What email campaigns are you going to send out? Will that clash with anything else? And you know, there's actually a lot to think about, that you need to sit down and plot when you're thinking about running webinars. Then it's, you know, well, what should my topic be about? I mean, I started off, I made this mistake, and I just gave random webinars on random topics, all connected with public speaking and presentation skills, but they weren't kind of connected with what I was going to be selling at the end. And then you need to think about the things that you can, you know, oh, what on earth do I have to remember? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you as well, if you stay right to the end of this webinar, I'm going to give you a webinar planning template, a PDF that you can just download at the end. You don't even have to opt in for this. Okay, this is a gift from me to you to help you with your planning, because it's so important. You know, you have to do your planning, otherwise you put all the rest of the work in and it will fall down around your ears. Okay, the next thing is the presentation itself. Now, a lot of people make this huge mistake when they're looking at going to give a presentation. They start off with a blank slideshow, and they start slide one and move through to the end. That is not the way to do it. Or they start with a blank piece of paper and try and write the beginning. That's not how you do it. First of all, you have to construct an outline, and you actually have to start at the end. You know, what do I want to achieve from this presentation? What do I want my audience to think, do, or feel at the end? And how am I going to get them there? You know, so you've got to think about the outcome, and you've got to work everything towards that outcome. So the first thing that you've got to start with is the end. Then you need to come to the beginning and come out with some kind of startling statements or facts or interest as to, you know, why they should carry on listening. And then, of course, the middle is where you take them from that one journey, you know, to the end. Once you've got the outline, so you know what you want to achieve at the end, you've got a beginning that's going to make people sit up and take notice, and then you've got a kind of a journey that you take them on to get them from A to B. Then you start crafting it. So now you actually start writing the material of what you're going to put in there. Once you've done that, it's a good idea to go away, leave it, and then come back. And then what you're going to do is think about, how can I now captivate people? So by captivate, I mean, you know, what are you going to put in that now adds power? So language, pictures, metaphors, you know, this is where you'll use your visual age. This is where you'll now sort of start thinking about, what visuals am I going to use? What sort of, you know, slides am I going to use of this? What stories am I going to tell? All of these kind of things, you know, will come in. Once you've done that, then you've got the charm element. Now, the charm element is quite simply your delivery. So now what you've got to do is you've got to look at the whole presentation, and you've got to think, where am I going to put the pauses in? When do I need to make them think? When am I saying something that's really important and they need, you know, you want your voice to get weighty? This is authoritative stuff. You know, when do you want to get really excited? When do you want to have fun with them? You know, so this is the kind of stuff that you've got to think about with the presentation to bring it to life, so that it's not, oh my goodness, I was listening to a webinar the other night, I can't tell you. The content was amazing. And it kind of, I stayed because I wanted the content, but it was like, I was almost fighting the will to live, because it was so boring, it was so monotonous, there was no energy in the voice. And I listened despite that, because I wanted the content, but gosh, it was hard work. So, make it fun, use your voice, use your energy. And then finally, you work on it and work on it and work on it, and you basically you just do continuous improvement. Top speakers who get paid a shed load of money for speaking, they get paid, literally big bucks. They get paid, 10,000 to talk for less than an hour. Do you think they get that good at giving a different presentation every time they speak? No. They have one, or maybe they'll have, I don't know, 3 keynotes that they give, and they give that same one over and over and over and over again, and they've perfected it over time. Even the little mistakes actually with them are probably not mistakes, but they're probably ad-libbed in to make it look like it's the first time they've delivered that speech, but it's not. Okay, so you need to get comfortable with your material, and you need to continuously improve it. Alrighty, so the next thing you've got to do is choose your platform. And how on earth do I choose my platform? There are so many of them, which is good, because now it's getting competitive, which means the price is coming down, which is really good news. You've got automated platforms as well as all the live ones to choose from. So how do I choose a platform? Well, the first thing that you've got to do, a lot of people say, oh, this platform's the best, or that platform's the best. There's no such thing. Let me let you into that trade secret. There is no such thing as the best platform. It depends on your style of presentation, so it depends. Are you wanting to give a presentation which is all you and with a whiteboard behind you? Are you wanting to give a slide show from start to finish? Do you want to have your camera shown, your webcam shown at the same time as your slideshow? Do you want live chat showing at the same time? All these kind of things will determine your choice of platform. But also you've got to think about the functionality. What will it give me? What will it let me do? For example, GoToWebinar allows you to use a webcam, but it won't record it. So to me, what's the point? You need the recording as well as the live. There are other platforms which, like for example, the systems for automated webinars, or things like Webinar Jam, which are live. You've got these amazing little pop-up buttons that say download this report here, or go to that page there. They're amazing. So those will determine what you want to use. Are you using the webinar for education purposes? Are you using it for selling purposes? Are you using it just to get a community together and hang out? Also, how easy are they to use? If they're too difficult from a technical point of view, you're not going to want to use them. So you want to pick something which is fairly easy to use. And of course, there are different platforms which suit different budgets. Okay, so, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you also a link where you can go and sign up to get a free platform guide as well. So all these buttons will be at the end of the webinar for you to get your hands on them. With that one, you've just got to give me your name and email address, and I will send you that platform guide to help you choose. Alrighty, so promotion. Now, I'm not going to say too much about this because this topic is just too big. But a lot of people think that the promotion is all about getting people to register. Okay, yes, you have to get people to register, but also you have to get people to attend. So there's a huge difference sometimes between the numbers of people actually attending your webinar to the people who are showing up. With promotion, you need to be focusing on both. All right, so that's really important. Profit. Now, if you do all of the other 4 P's well, you should profit. But let me tell you, the first thing you've got to do, as we've already discussed, is you have to have a presentation in a style that sells. But that's not where it stops. A lot of the money in a webinar is in the follow-up. So there's a big there's a kind of big desire sometimes at the end of a webinar to just go, oh, I'm glad that's all over. But this is where the hard work starts, actually. You've got to make sure you send out your email saying, hey, did you miss the webinar? This is the replay. Make sure you watch it. Or, you know, thank you for attending. Remember, the offer finishes on such and such a date. And, you know, this is your last chance to get it at this super special price. Because people are busy, people forget, and very often, you know, I know somebody, a good friend of mine, and this I promise you is a true story. A friend of mine watched a webinar by somebody and liked what they saw, but they're quite analytical and they're reflective, like to think on things. And this person actually said to me, I'm thinking of this program by this person. What do you think? And I said, go for it, bite their hand off. That's incredible. Yes, I will. I'm going to. And then forgot. And then the next thing, he's on the phone saying, I missed the end date. What do you think I should do? And I said, you're tough. You've had it, mate. You know, when it's gone, it's gone. So he missed out on that offer and was kicking himself. So, but of course, you know, you have to send those reminders. Otherwise, people will forget. Now, the next thing that you can do is you can repurpose your webinar. So if you've given some great content, you can put a collection of these together, and then what you can do is sell that as a package. So there's loads of different ways that you can actually profit from your webinar, which, you know, is cool, because that means you're doing the work once and you get paid over and over again. And that's always a good idea in my book. All right, so to recap then, I've thrown a lot of information at you in a fairly short space of time here, but if you're struggling at all to get the number of clients you would like, and you want your business to soar, you need webinars. But you need to make sure that you're following these 5 Ps. You need to make sure that you do your homework and that you make it work, because if you miss any part of this jigsaw puzzle, if you miss any part of these Ps, you're going to end up doing a lot of work and you're not going to have enough of the reward that you know, quite rightly deserve. So let me just ask you again, same question. I'm going to take you back to, what are your reasons for showing up on this webinar? What was it that prompted you to take some time out and listen to this webinar? And write down, again, you know, go back to, if you get good at webinars, what could that do for you? What kind of dreams could that help you to achieve? Because I'm just going to take a couple of minutes now to let you know that with my help, I can help you get there faster. Because basically, with what I've told you on this webinar, you can go out there, start implementing that, and start making some progress. But it's a bit like that School of Hard Knocks. You know, you take some information, you try and error it. Or you can do it the fast way by getting some guidance and going through my Wicked Webinars Profitable Webinar Blueprint, where I give you an awful lot much more detail on each of these 5 Ps. Now, let me tell you what's included. Well, first of all, you've got the blueprint itself, so you've got tutorials and PDF guides on each of those Ps. Not only that, to make it easy for you, I actually give you a template where you can fill in and the blanks, so you can basically follow. So what I've got is a template which says, right, your introduction, what you want to do is this, you know, and then tell them why they should stay to the end, tell them what you're going to, you know, do. And I've got a template that you can actually follow along and put together, and if you follow that template, I pretty much guarantee that you'll, you know, get some good results. Also, I'm going to give an in-depth review of those popular platforms, as well as techie tutorials. Now, obviously, I can't do techie tutorials on every single platform that's out there, but I've got most of the popular ones covered. I'm going to help you to put together pre-recorded webinars, so the kind of things that you need to do for pre-recorded webinars, because they're obviously a bit different to live webinars, so we cover that as well. I've got some great bonus training material that I'm putting together. I've got an amazing talk by Mike Filsane, and that's in there. And, you know, I was blown away when I listened to that, and I'm getting other talks from other people which I'm going to add in as well. On top of that, automatic updates, because things are changing. As things change, I will be updating material on a regular basis and adding to it as we go along. And on top of that, this is my favourite bit, monthly live webinar tutorials. So I'm going to pick one topic and go through that in detail, plus give you the opportunity to ask your questions live from me as well. So that takes place every month. So that's basically everything that's in there. It's really comprehensive. Just a couple of testimonials. This was something that somebody posted on Facebook. She said, I've just watched one of the best webinars I've seen in months. If you want to know how to run your own webinars, then, you know, check out this from me. And I was chuffed when she put that down. I thought, wow, you know, that's and she's in good company. She follows webinars from some really good people, so I was thrilled when she posted that. And then there's another lady that I've been working with, and in the beginning she refused point blank. No way, absolutely not, I don't want to do webinars, too scary, don't even want to think about it. Now she can't get enough of them. She's really confident, and she's running live webinars as well, and absolutely loved it, and is getting business, which again is cool and what it's all about. If that's not enough, I will give you a money back guarantee. If you do not think that I've given value and it wasn't what you were expecting, within 30 days I will give you your money back, no questions asked. Okay, now, so what is the price for this program? Well, I am actually changing things around, and I'm actually going to be launching this as part of a new membership site on the 1st of May, where I'm going to be charging either choice of $37 a month, $370 for the year, so you basically get 2 months free, or for a tiny little bit extra, lifetime access of $397. However, that's not going to be ready until the 1st of May. So, as a special favour for Leslie, I have decided to give you all the access to the existing site, and then on the 1st of May you'll automatically be transferred over to the new site, and you'll get all of those things included, plus all the monthly webinars, lifetime access, for only $97. So instead of $397, that's like a quarter of the price. So that's because I'm just not ready for launch yet, but this opportunity to take part in the fantastic bootcamp that Leslie's running was just too much of an opportunity. Now, all the information is there, it's just in the old site at this present moment, and then in the new site you will be transferred over and you'll get your access to everything. I say lifetime, that's for the lifetime of the product. You know, when I'm kind of in my 60s, I may not be wanting to do monthly live webinars. So, but it's going to be at least a couple of years, let me tell you that much. All right, so now I want to share a top trade secret with you. When it comes to your webinar presentation, don't sell just at the end of your webinar, okay? Sell all the way through. Why am I saying that? Now, the mistake, you know, I told you the mistakes that I made earlier on was I had a random topic and I gave a random sale at the end. You need your sale to be connected. Now, what I'm going to recommend you do is I'm going to recommend you watch this webinar again when you get the recording, and you'll see that I actually didn't just, I pitched at the end, but I didn't sell just at the end. I actually started selling right at the beginning when I asked you when I told you how brilliant webinars are, what they could do for your business, what they could do for your income, and asked you on a scale of 1 to 10, you know, where are you at right now, and if you're anything below 7, then you need this. Okay, that's where we start creating the desire and what we call seeding. So I'm giving away my secrets here, And in all transparency, you know, that's what you're going to see. But if you can imagine with all of this knowledge what I can help you to achieve, you know, this is so important. And on that note, for very fast action takers, the first 10 people to purchase, as well as getting that amazing discount, you'll get a free one-to-one strategy session with me for 30 minutes. And normally I would charge $247 for that, or for any of the people who are watching this from the UK, about £150 is the exchange rate. So I will give the first 10 people the opportunity to have that session with me so that I can help guide you in putting all of this stuff together. So there we go. So that is how you create profitable webinars. That is your ultimate guide to profitable webinars. So at this point, it will be cool to find out, Leslie, if we've got any questions.
We certainly do, Tina. Anyway, I want to let you guys know you can save so much time and avoid these headaches by having Tina teach you how to do it, not only the right way, but to also make your first webinar a huge success. And wouldn't it have been nice to have someone show us how to do this, Tina?
Oh, you are not kidding. Honestly, Leslie, I can't tell you how many times I have wanted to pull all my hair out. The number of times I wanted to take my laptop and chuck it out the window. It was so frustrating, and it's the silly little things that sometimes cause you the biggest grief, and I just wish I'd had somebody who could have pointed me in the right direction. And I often say to people, well, yeah, I've made all the mistakes and learned the hard way, so you don't have to. And I mean that. I know that's kind of been used before, but it's true.
You didn't enjoy reading those big files of technical papers?
No. What does that mean? Yeah.
Exactly. And, you know, Tina and I have discussed this quite a bit over the last few weeks, and there are a few people out there that really know how to integrate the software between Infusionsoft or any of the other autoresponders and Evergreen, especially when it comes to the complex detail. That's why it's so great to have Tina that, you know, she can just walk you right through all that.
Yeah.
So how about some questions?
Yeah, questions, fire away.
All right. So one of the first questions out there was, what made the difference from struggling with webinars to getting such high conversion rates?
Well, that's a good question. There are a few things. First of all, I tried to do it by myself. I tried to do it through, when I was first beginning, you know, you end up spending out quite a bit of money on, you've got to, you know, get stuff going and the website, and I tried to, I'm a, you know, I guess there was a certain arrogance. Yeah, well, I'm a presentation skills trainer. I can crack an online presentation. It can't be that much different. And it was hugely different. So one of the big keys to my success was, number one, getting the right training so that I could follow, you know, what the right thing was to do, and also getting the right mentoring. Once I realised, actually, the people who have become the most successful are the ones who actually engaged in mentoring programs, I decided, right, okay, it's going to be a stretch for me, but I'm going to sign up to some of these mentoring programs. And I'm so glad I did, because, in fact, it was one of my mentors who said to me, do you know what, you're teaching presentation skills online. A webinar is an online presentation. I think you should teach webinars. And at that point, I kind of said, yeah, there's only one problem. This was a little while back, yeah. This is kind of getting on for 2 years ago. And I said, the only problem is I don't know much about webinars. So her reply was, well, you best get learning then, hadn't you? And so I did. I started joining workshops and getting buying programs, and it was a huge difference. And then it was about learning about actually constructing the presentation into a sale. One of the things I was brilliant at was giving presentations and teaching people to give presentations. One thing that I wasn't so good at back then was how to put a sale together. I was clueless. So I needed to learn how to do that. And then the third thing was constructing a model. It can be a simple model like my 5 Ps, you know, model, but giving it a visual representation and putting it into a model rather than a program with just all these things in it, you know. And that was what helped me to go from literally 0 to you know, doing really well. Plus, because I just kept going and kept going and kept going, people got to know me, and I managed to land a really good joint venture partner as well. So that also helped. So it's a combination of all those P's together, really, and the right training.
And that's amazing, because I think just the training alone on the webinar is so much more valuable than the price that you got. But you're putting in all that other that's just priceless. Priceless information.
Yeah. I mean, it is, because it can make such a difference. I mean, I can't tell you how happy I was when I went from selling $37 here, $47 there, you know, which in UK pounds is a lot less. And suddenly, when I had this, when it all came together, and I put everything that I'd learned into a new webinar presentation, and all of a sudden, I mean, I was lucky previously if I sold 2, and on this particular webinar, I still had you know, my email open, because I often leave my email open just because if you get crashed out or something, you know, you can find the links to get back in easy. And all of a sudden, all these little notices kept coming up from PayPal, you know, and I was just, the webinar was still going, and it was as much as I could do not to squeak with excitement, because in the corner of my computer there's these little pop-ups saying PayPal, 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 and it was like, oh my gosh, I'm selling, you know. It was such an amazing feeling. I can't describe to you, and that's what I want to help other people have. I want to share that so other people have that experience too, because it's awesome.
Cool. That's awesome. Okay, this person is asking, they said they're having trouble with their internet. Can they still run a webinar?
Yes, you can. Now, live webinars might be a challenge. However, this is the beauty of automated webinars. I had a client who was based in South Africa, and he was terrified at the idea of doing webinars because he said, my internet is rubbish. I can never stay on for more than, you know, 10-15 minutes. And so the best option there is to go for an automated pre-recorded webinar, because then it's not based on your own internet connection, it's based on, you know, the internet and the servers, and it's as long as the person who's watching has got a connection, then they can watch the webinar. And automated webinars are brilliant. I love them, you know, because it makes life really easy, because people can choose to watch them when they want to, rather than the live designated time, which when you're dealing with people from all around the globe is not always a brilliant idea, because you've got people, you know, having to sort of come on board in different time zones. You know, I've wanted to watch a webinar and they've said it's only available live and there's not going to be a recording, and I've had to like listen at 2 o'clock in the morning until, you know, 3:30 a.m. So there's a really good place for automated webinars, and one of them is if you've got a dodgy internet connection.
Right.
So yes, you can.
And besides that, you can put the webinar together and then go to the beach, right?
Yeah, even better. Fabulous. Passive income. That's what we love.
Right. I've got another question for you, Tina. All right, this person says they really get nervous. So what can they do about that?
Oh, there is so much you can do to help overcome nerves, and I've got a big section in the program about that. There are a few things. First of all, let me tell you, if you get the right training and the right mentoring, that will be a big part of it, because when you don't know how to do something, you're outside of your comfort zone naturally anyway. It's like when when I was young, I wanted to learn how to ride horses, and I did it the hard way. And guess what? I fell off a lot. And fortunately, when I was that age, I bounced well. But as I got older and found I didn't bounce so good, then, you know, it became a problem. So I actually went and got lessons. And I just think, God, if only I got these lessons before I started, you know, I wouldn't have had all those problems. So
you should have enjoyed it.
Yeah, indeed, you know, I needn't have fell off as often as I did. And it's the same with any, you know, with webinars and talking and all. A lot of people think that just because they can speak, they can present. But it's a skill that needs to be taught, you know. If you've been taught how to present, it just makes it so much easier. And your confidence will be, if you know that you've constructed a fantastic presentation and you know that your message is going to be brilliant and well received, your confidence is going to go up. On top of that, there's a whole load of things that you can do to manage your state. Now, you know, I did all the NLP Master Practitioner training, so I've got some really nice videos and audios on how you can manage your state and how you get into that right frame of mind. Let me give you a little tip as well. A lot of people say to me, oh, I can't do that, I'm terrified. You know, well, the first thing you've got to do is change your language, because if you say I can't do that, that manifests itself, and you know, it's a blueprint that you start telling yourself you can't do it. And when you say I'm terrified, just the word terrified triggers a reaction, and it triggers that fight or flight kind of thing that's going on. And it's not appropriate to be terrified. You know, if I was to lock you into a pen with a hungry tiger that hasn't been fed, you know, in weeks, then is, you know, appropriate to be terrified. But, you know, you're not going to die, so it's not appropriate. However, some people will teach that you're going to say, hey, I'm really confident, I'm dynamic, I'm wonderful. And there's one little problem with that. There's this little voice that goes off in the other ear saying, you're lying, don't believe it. So what I teach people is to say, get rid of the terrified language and say, do you know what? I am a bit nervous, but that's okay. And that's believable, you know, to tone it down from because being nervous is normal, you know. And that's a normal thing to go through. And then, but if you say, but that's okay, I'm a bit nervous, but that's okay, everything's going to be fine. And then next time you say, well, actually, I was a bit nervous, but I was fine. And then gradually you can say, I'm excited. Because do you know what? The feelings you get when you're nervous are the same symptoms when you're excited. So then you just change the label and say, hey, I'm excited about this. And then gradually those, before you know it, those horrible feelings and the negative associations with those feelings start to disappear. So, oh, there's heaps more, but I haven't got time to go into it all now.
All right, so you will not find anyone better to help you navigate this technology and help you begin with your presentations. Tina can help you be seen by the world. She's awesome.
Thank you, that's very kind of you. I just love what I do.
And you do it so well.
Thanks. It's just so lovely to be here. It's my way of contributing to the world, and at the same time I have fun doing it, so that's all good.
So you guys, this price is so much more generous than I expected Tina to give. I'm just kind of blown away at the moment about the price that she's giving us for this. And if this is something that you could see yourself doing, or that it's something you think you should be doing, just click on that button and buy it. I mean, there's no time like the present to make something different happen in your life.
Indeed. Come and join me. We'll have, not only will I be able to teach you, but we will have a ball as well. And remember, it's not just the stuff that's in the membership site. You get to hang out with me on a live webinar once a month for as long as you want to. You know, well, as long as I'm running them, like I said, you know, when I'm, you know, old and grey, I might not want to be running monthly webinars anymore, but certainly for the next couple of years that is going to be available to you. So it doesn't matter where you are, doesn't matter if you've never run a webinar before, it doesn't matter if you've done quite a few, but you just know you can get better results. Then come and hang out and have some fun, as well as make a difference to other people, the people that you're put on this planet to serve, and increase your income and lifestyle while you're doing it. What could be better?
I couldn't have said it better. And Tina's such a blast to hang out with. And thank you so much, Tina, for all your wonderful knowledge. You just always are a pleasure to be around. Yeah,
my pleasure. It was fabulous to be here with you.
Thank you so much, and I will talk to you very soon.
All right, thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Tina. Bye-bye.
Bye.